Hey family, good morning, good morning. I love you guys. This morning, as I was studying, I got this very strong sense that God wants to deal with deep, um, rooted trauma and pain this weekend. Um, I don't know why I keep forgetting that it's Easter weekend, and I have no idea how I forgot it was Holy Week. I literally have read something every day about Holy Week and been floored by the revelations God has been giving me. And somehow, maybe because I don't celebrate now like the way I used to, but um, the sense that I'm getting from God is that some of us believe that because our pain and our trauma is so deep and burdensome, that it's going to take God years to heal us. When I was, oh my God, probably 30, I had gone through a very painful and traumatic relationship. Like it was soul wrenching. And the process of God breaking the habits of that relationship off of my life, that took time. Like the patterns that I had developed, the things that I had begun doing, and yada, 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 over a series of time, those habits took a little bit of time to break. But the soul ties, the trauma, the pain, the angst that came along with the memory of that relationship and those traumas that I endured um, in the relationships um, did not did not take years. It took me years to get to the point where I was willing to fully surrender the hurt, the pain, the trauma, the situation to God. That took years. It took years for me to make a decision to say, I don't want to be in pain anymore. I don't want to carry this trauma. I saw you deliver Mary Magdalene from 7 demons in 6 seconds. I think that you can do the same thing for me. And so the exchange of my burden for his was supernatural. It was, I've already carried your trauma and your pain in my body. There is no point in you carrying it in your body. There's no point in you carrying it in your soul. There is no point in you being tormented day in and day out by something that, yes, it did happen. And yes, you did have these experiences, but the experiences do not need to define the next 20 years of your life. And so I had not realized that I had become acclimated to my pain, meaning that we had become life partners. I was so used to walking and living with my trauma and living with the things that had wrongfully been done to me and against me and all of the repercussions from that. So, like, there are traumatic things that happen, and then the repercussions of the traumatic things literally spilled into every other area of my life. In my marriage and my friendships, particularly in family relationships, it was just really, really horrible um, because no one could take the blame for the things the enemy had done. I had to go through a process of healing internally first with my own trauma before I could get to the point of forgiveness and restitution and restoration. Like those things took time because they involved other humans that may not have been as quick to surrender to God, right? In terms of allowing Him to handle the pain, the trauma, whatever. And so, but what I can say is that the decision to release the trauma, the decision to let go of the pain, that was harder than actually releasing it. The decision to do it was terrifying because it had become a part of my identity. It wasn't just what happened to me. I had allowed it to define every portion of my life, my value, my worth was tied up in my trauma and pain and history. Even the way that I received God's love was tied up in my trauma, because if he really loved me, how? How could you? But there are some things that just are not rational. And there are some things that you will not get an answer to until you are healed, first of all, and you find a hidden place in God. You know, the whole book of Psalms talks about hiding in God, right? And there is some things that you cannot find, like you just aren't finding lava that melts everything it touches. You're not finding lava on the surface. You got to get to the core of the earth. And there are some things that you will not find in about yourself, about life, and about God until you get down deep into the center of him. And so I'm saying all of that to say that this is an opportunity this weekend. As surely as Jesus was raised from the belly of the earth, you have the opportunity to be raised from you're so funny, to be raised from all of the destruction of your life and your past and the things that you feel like truly have destroyed you. And you know, I say quite often, a 10 is a 10. And you can't tell me what my level of trauma is. You can't say because that wasn't a big deal to you that it isn't a big deal to me. Right? And so nobody gets to define what your trauma is or how deep that trauma goes. That's something that you get to define with the Lord alone. Um, but it's also something that only you can release to him. And so I'm asking everyone to be brave this weekend and to surrender to God all of the unimaginable things that torment you so that you can find peace, wholeness, and safety. And from there, you will wander into trust. You will wander into relationship. You will wander into fulfillment. You will wander into restitution, and all of the dreams and desires that right now seem very impossible. They just seem impossible. Some of you, um, your trauma is not some, and I'm not belittling this, but I see an equal trauma where one is judgment. This is like community judgment, rejection, uh, depression, loss is equal to, it's equal to those of us who have experienced rape, molestation, abuse. The trauma is the same. And so I'm imploring you to take your burdens to God this weekend. He's waiting for them. He's waiting for the burdens. He's waiting for the opportunity to make you 100% free, at least in that area. I love you, and let's talk about it.